Hello, this is Infinite Possibilities, and this is a continuation of the pre-recording. So parts 1 to 6, they were part of like 2+ hours of the recording, and now that I ran out of that footage, I'm going to record some more pre-recorded footage. So the reason why I'm doing this is because it allows me to look into the comments inside of my videos as well as the comments inside of the forums. Thankfully, I did get a few comments on both platforms, and the good news is that for the people that have actually commented, you get to, have like a booster seat, or you get to have like a rocket ship where I can actually read your comments and your suggestions. This guy right here, he commented twice about his ideas, and I briefly checked it out. And looking onto the forums, here is my dear friend Landmaster giving out his idea, and here is an individual. His name is Was Smart, and he gave me a lot of constructive feedback. My first impression was that it was kind of like an attack on me, but then as I looked at it, he's actually being genuine and is willing to allow me to grow. And one of the things that he criticized me for, or in terms of constructive feedback, would have to be that I tend to have a lot of filler, and in my perspective, I don't have a lot of filler. I just tend to excel at talking about one specific topic for an extended period of time. But as I said right here, considering investing more cash into better lighting, and I'll learn more about OBS settings, and I followed his advice, and as you can see, like I was messing around with the filters, and there's this thing called the chroma key, and I was adjusting the contrast as well as these other settings. So like with the chroma key it looks like this, and without the chroma key it looks like this. So there's a definite increase in the lighting of this. I also messed around with other filters, so thank you for people like Wasmart for giving some constructive feedback, because as Elon Musk stated, a well thought out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. So yeah, very thankful about that. I haven't really responded to this yet, but I have read it. I'm just gonna respond to it once the thread is gonna sink down into the second page, so I can go bump it. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I'm gonna try and be more mindful about the whole filler stuff, and technically speaking, like, it's been 4 minutes, and is this filler? So I don't know, but it's also important to try and be yourself, and also important to take advice from others that have good intentions for you. So anyways, we're gonna go read the comments here, and I know this guy posted first, but he has a handful to go. Suggest these people Shadow Wing from a day ago, so it is currently February 28, 2020 at the time of this recording. He said, "Here is my opinion on the subject of having a FusionFall economy. It's unnecessary. Hopefully, first impression, you've watched my 2-hour video series where I talk about the economy. Overall, FusionFall was made with the sole purpose of being played. Okay? If you try to add economy, it will just make everything a mess, and it will discourage players from having certain items. It creates a view. People will view expensive items as things they should wear, which ruins the creativity of the game. I'm not really following this logic. If you try to add an economy, it would just make everything a mess. Well, the economy here is the closest form that we have for an MMO. The economy allows people to go socialize by grinding through trading on the Discord servers, because like they want to go kill monsters. And even if the devs don't even care about the economy, like if they were to go add in items, people such as myself and like people such as Illis Mexican, they're gonna go place values on these items, and assuming that, for example, that there is there is no price guide, right? Like assume that my price guide or Illis's price guide does not exist, then price guides are still gonna be made. And like I'm very aware that these price guides are like the de facto opinion of the community. So like if I type in X value on the guide, or if Illis were to type in on his guide X value, then people tend to go follow that value. But that's interesting. And it will discourage players from having certain items. I don't agree with that. Like we were talking about monopolies inside of the video series, and I was talking about the pros and cons of monopolies. One of the major understandings of monopolies is that they were formed fairly. For example, the whole Big Chill wings. Like, for example, the people such as Mike the God, they fairly traded, or for the most part, fairly traded those wings, and they jacked up the value by trading relatively expensive items. And then result was they got the items. And the major disadvantage with monopolies is that once that monopoly is formed, the ones who have the items are not willing to go trade it to people. It creates a view. People will view expensive items as things they should wear, which ruins the creativity of the game. I think even before FusionFall Retro, and if we were to look into any other game in the past, present, and in the future, people like to go flex their stuff. Like, people like wearing the most expensive items inside of the game. I remember back in the original, if you had the open shirt, Eduardo pants, tech camo, or Sapphire Angel shoes, the red heavy bio, you would be considered a extraordinarily rich player. Now for retro, if you were to have, for example, like the construction helmet, as well as the gem rejuvenator, then you would be considered very rich inside of the game. People like to collect expensive stuff because they like to go flex that stuff. Now, it depends on the individual if they actually want to follow the meta, because the meta for the economy would have to be trying to get the most expensive items. You don't have to follow that, and that's perfectly okay, because not everyone follows it. And like the mass majority of people would rather just collect, for example, their favorite items such as the Ben 10 jacket, Cannonball pants, and Cannonball shoes. So yeah, if you want to go wear that, that's perfectly okay. But it's also important to be aware that the economy exists because it's like the closest form of an MMO, which ruins the creativity of the game. Not to mention, people will start judging other players about their outfits. I am aware those people exist. They exist in every game that that does that, and those are trolls. Those are assholes. They should just be like, you shouldn't even be friends with them in the first place. So I hope this was a decent response to Shadowwing. Here is from Breezy Bird. I remember I used to want to play FusionFall when I was little, but then I never got to play it because the engine it ran on crashed every time I finished character customization. I wonder if it's still worth trying. Yeah, it's still worth trying. It's not related to community feedback, but yeah, it's worth trying. I should probably respond to that inside of the video. And then we're gonna go look into this guy's post. But before we do that, so we're gonna look into our dear friend VentureMan.